Hello friends, in this video we'll be discussing about what is jagged array in C# programming. So jagged array is actually a type of multi-dimensional array, but here there is a small difference between multi-dimensional array and jagged array. So basically jagged array is a arrays of arrays. One array reference the index pointing to another array, right? So here what is the difference is unlike multi-dimensional array, in jagged array every index of array index can represent a different size of subarray. So for example, each array inside a jagged array can be a different size. So when we create a jagged array, index will not be finalized. The second index will not be fixed, right? So for example, how to create jagged array? So you have to represent data type. Then here, when you compare to multi-dimensional array, in multi-dimensional array we have to use comma. Here we have to use square bracket, 2 square bracket, depending on how many dimension you are going to store. So 2 square bracket you have to use, and the variable name, new data type, and again 2 square bracket. In the first square bracket alone you have to give the index for 2-dimensional jagged array. For 3-dimensional jagged array you have to give first two dimension you have to give. Okay, so since it is a 2-dimensional jagged array, here you have to give the base index only, base number of rows only we are going to fix, and number of columns can be a different size. That's a difference, right? So jagged array, the number of column is not fixed, it can be different. So that's what jagged array. So here this second dimension should be empty, otherwise compiler generates error when you compile the program, right? So for example, how to create an integer jagged array? So you can use int square bracket, again square bracket, array variable, new int, and you have to give a base index. So base how many rows you want to create. For example, if I give two rows we can create, and each row we can have a different set of columns. For example, in the first row we can have 5 elements, second row we can have 10 elements. So it is not a fixed set of columns. So we can have a different set of columns, right? Each and every row we can create separately. For example, we can control the size of each and every row. For example, size of number of columns. As I told already, the number of column is not fixed, right? So number of columns can be different. It can be set separately by like this, array of 0. First row, we can take first row and we can give a different number of columns, new int of 3. And second row we can give a different size, different number of columns, right? So next we are going to see how to store the data in jagged array, right? So now let us see all these things we can see as one example program. So I will demonstrate how to create a jagged array, how to store data, how to access the data, and how to display it. Okay. So to create jagged array, first we have to start with the data type. Then you have to fix how many dimension you want to keep. If it is 2-dimensional, we can create like this. So for example, array equal to, we can create new int square bracket. So first square bracket you have to give, you are supposed to give the value, right? For example, I am going to give 3. Second square bracket it should be empty. So this is called jagged array, right? So jagged array is actually very simple concept. Like here rows are actually fixed, number of rows fixed, number of columns can be different. So each row will be having different number of columns. Okay. So once you create this jagged array, we can store the data. So how to store the data? Let us see how to store the data. So first we have to take the first index. Okay, first index we can store some set of values. Okay, first we will store the first index. We can assume that how many number of data you want to store. Okay, so for example, in the first index I want to store 5 elements, right? So we can use 5. And if you want to provide elements, you can provide directly also. Here we can provide the elements 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So 5 elements I am going to store. So this is about first row. And second row, assume that I want to store more elements, 10 elements I want to store. So what we can do is we can create another array and we can store 10 elements. Okay, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So 10 elements I have stored. And third row I want to store only 2 elements. Okay. So for example 2. So we'll store only 2 elements. So like this, for example, I want to store 67, 89. Okay. So this is what jagged array. Jagged array, if you see, the columns are actually not equal columns, different column. Okay. So we can have a different column, and when you create an array, the column number of column is not fixed. So when you create array, the number of column is not fixed, so it should be empty. So that's what jagged array, and these columns will be initialized later. For every row, we can initialize separately how many number of rows you want to store. Okay, how many number of columns you want to store. So this is about how to store data in jagged array, right? So now how to display. Let's see how to display the data from jagged array, right? So to display data, if we want to display particular data, we can able to access using the index. For example, I want to display data called I want to display, for example, 7 I want to display. Okay, display 7 data, right? So how to access console.writeLine? We can access the array variable name and the row number. So 7 is located in which row? It is located in the row number 1. So we have to use the base row number is 1, and column is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The column number is 6. So we can able to access that particular data 7. Okay. So save this program and we can execute and see the output. Now look at this, we are getting the 7 exactly, we are getting the 7. Now if I want to access this 40, okay, what we can do, if I want to access 40, let us try that also. Display data 40. So 40 is located in where, which index? 40 is located in the 0th row, and column index is 0, 1, 2, 3 column, right? So you have to use 3 index. Okay. So save this and we can see the output. Now here you can see, first we are accessing 7, second we are accessing 40, right? So this is about how to access a particular data using index. Now let us see how to access every item using a for loop iteration. Okay. So we need 2 for loop. So first for loop we have to run for the rows, right? So int I is equal to 0, I less than array dot length, then I plus plus, then followed by, we have to create another for loop, int j equal to 0 and j less than, here we have to use array of I. Okay, dot length. So here, so like this we have to create a here, yeah, there is a small mistake, j, it should be j, right? So int j equal to 0, j less than array of I dot length. Why I am using array of I dot length is, here every row is a different size, it is not same size, right? Every row is a different size. For example, if you take first row, we have 5 items, second row we have 10 items, and third row we have 2 items. So we have to take the particular row, array of 5, then you have to find the length of the particular array. Okay, particular row we have to find out. Okay, so that's why we are calling like this. First we are taking the total rows. Array dot length will give total number of rows. So I will run 3 times. Okay, because we have 3 rows, right? So 3 rows. So array dot length. So here you have to understand, this array dot length returns 3. And what is array of I? Array of I dot length will return, it depends on the I value, right? So when I is equal to 0, it's very simple. When I is equal to 0, when I is 0, this array of I dot length returns 5, because in 0th array, 0th row we have 5 elements, right? Similarly, when I is equal to 1, this array of this will return 10, because total number of items in the index 1. Okay, so this I value will be coming here 0. Okay, and when I is equal to 1, this I will be replaced by array of 1 dot length 10 will be coming. Then when I becomes 2, this array of this I is replaced by 2, so will be getting length will be calculated for the last third row. Okay, so here 2. So for every time this j, this particular length will be changing. Okay, so now we can able to print each and every data by using a console.writeLine, and we can able to access using array. First you have to give the row number and column number. Okay, and it will print. And if you want to print in a matrix but it is not a matrix, uh, of course we can print in a line by line. So we can do like this. We can give one space for every item, and after the first row is over we can print the second row, right? So we can use one line after every row. Okay, so this for loop, for one iteration this for loop will display the one row data, and second I iteration this for loop will display the second row, like that. Okay, so this way we can able to access all the elements from the jagged array. Okay, so now we can save it and we can execute the program. Yeah, now we are getting the output. Look at this. The first row contains 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Second row is, it is not equal, right? It contains 10 elements. Third row is it contains 2 elements, right? So this is about how to access every data using for loop iteration from jagged array. Okay, so that's all about jagged array. Thank you.